Hey Dumblies, it's Dave Desai. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about RM and Ellen DeGeneres. I have a lot to say about this and a lot of thoughts. I don't think there's any public beef between them, but I don't know if they're friends with each other. We also have Suga kind of showing off a ring, and armies are confused, mad. There's a lot of opinions on this right now. So grab your dumpling tea spilling mug merch and let's get into the tea. If you are new here and you're interested in this type of stuff, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and that notification bell to be notified anytime a new video drops. Any of you who's a hater, like to be first, leave your hate comment. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button and that notification bell also so you can be first to do so. Now let's jump into it. The first thing I want to jump into is what everyone believes to be beef between Ellen and BTS. Not chicken, but beef. Alright, I'll go home. The beef just kind of started within the fandom first, as a lot of armies were mad at how Ellen treated BTS. But these claims don't get too far usually because armies are usually mad at any celebrity that comes in contact with BTS. But you may have noticed that BTS only appeared on The Ellen Show twice since 2017 and have appeared on various other talk shows multiple times. But also they don't really reference Ellen at all on their own show like Run BTS, or in any show they do discuss talk show hosts. I react to those sort of things on my Patreon. If you're interested, I'll link it below. Now the first time BTS appeared on The Ellen Show, I was very much against this. I liked Ellen at that point, but when it's a celebrity that hasn't hit the quote-unquote American mainstream, i.e. won a Grammy or constantly on American radio, Ellen doesn't care about them. She doesn't do her research, and this includes Disney stars and YouTubers that were on her show. For some of these people, they'll even disable comments, and typically you'll see The Ellen Show disable comments for when audience members come on or someone who is not a public figure. But to do that with people who are public figures rubs me the wrong way. It shows the lack of realization that the people coming on to her show are actually famous and are taking away that accomplishment from them. Does that make sense? Ellen to this day probably still has not taken the time to learn any of their names, while she very quickly learned all the names of the One Direction boys, meaning she is able to learn boy band names. I just feel like she thinks BTS won't be famous for long, so there's no point in learning. But of course, when BTS had them on the show in 2017, Ellen asked a really sensitive question to them. The question was about if any of them have hooked up with an army. Regardless of if they have or haven't, it's none of anyone's business, and it's rude because the answer is going to be no, whether it actually did happen or not, because they can't say yes. I don't even think it's a good idea for American celebrities to say yes to that. I'm obsessed with BTS, and if any of them wanted to date me, I don't think I would be allowed to say yes, even if I really wanted to. There would be a significant power imbalance. I would bow down to everything they did and agree with everything they said, in fear that they'll leave me if I don't. And since they have more money than I do, I'm going to do anything for them, and that is not how a healthy relationship should be, and let alone a hookup where a fan would probably be so nervous and insecure. It's a bad question to ask. There was no thought behind asking this. Also, it paints the picture that BTS boys are players and sleep around, which is highly frowned upon in Korea. Not that she knows that, but she should have if she did research. Now that was strike one, but the next time they were on the show, Ellen asked this question again, and RM simply evaded the question by saying, "Did you know that all of Korea knows what hookup means?" And thankfully Ellen let it go. Now another situation was when Ellen decided to scare them and have people jump out of a box. Ellen had a quote-unquote army or whatever jump out of a box and scared them. This is obviously not a pleasant experience. BTS was new to America and probably really scared to be on an American show, not knowing what the general Americans think of them, so they were probably scared to even move a little bit. They looked so stiff. So I think that was their 3 strikes, and from that point BTS decided to unfollow Ellen on the Tweetster. They probably thought they weren't having a good time on the show, and the show is being cancelled anyway, so they thought, why not just unfollow? I do think the boys, maybe even RM, has a say in who they follow and unfollow, and quite frankly, now I do believe this could be a very good reason why they ultimately decided to unfollow. Simply because you can also see how they react on other shows like James Corden or whatever, and you can literally see how much fun they look like they're having, while on Ellen they seem scared. And of course they're trying their best not to be in a dating scandal after the show airs. Ellen also rarely talked about their music. This would have been a great time to go over their wide discography of songs about mental health and abuse. This is something the American audience has no idea that BTS does. This would have been a great opportunity for them to push some really different music into the American mainstream, but why would they care to do that? I hope other talk shows can learn from this. BTS will not be the last international act that comes to America and ends up on American TV. We might have more Bollywood and Hollywood crossovers. We might have J-pop and C-pop making a huge splash in America soon. Who knows, right? At this point, anything is possible. I didn't even think K-pop would be so big when I started making K-pop videos way back then. 2017, actually. So I hope other talk shows take culture in consideration and do their research before having the idols on their show. Why wouldn't you want to have international idols on your show and ask them questions that they've never been asked before? All the fans would flock over to the video and love the answers given. Armies love seeing BTS on TV, and I'm sure we would definitely see them more often, or probably more often in a lot of other shows. Recently, when spotting Suga on TV and shows, people noticed that Suga was wearing a ring. This was a little shocking to some armies until some armies thought the ring was a promise ring. A ring that they even sell, which says BTS and ARMY on them. So basically saying that Suga is married to armies. I think that was my first thought after looking closer at the ring. It was not the ring that appeared to be the BTS and ARMY couple ring. On May 4th, there was an article published that talked about Suga and the many times he has worn this particular brand of accessory called Merrimon. I will get into that. But quick backstory if you didn't know, BTS, and one of the main reasons we love them is their stance on social issues and political issues. They seem to have the same views as I do when it comes to human rights and equality. I truly do believe the stance I take on how Asians are discriminated against, how Black people are discriminated against, and any POC, I believe they believe that too. And they show those actions in the best thing they can do, which is financially. They donated $1 million to the Black Lives Matter movement when it was at its height last year. They could have donated $500,000 and people would still praise them. But they chose $1 million, which will do a lot, like a lot. $1 million is enough to back a congressman up so they can then take that money to implement law changes. It's enough to get investigations done. I don't know what the money was used for, but I'm hoping this is what they did with it. Because of their stance on social issues, it is no doubt that they are looking to support in any little way possible. There is a brand called Merrimon. Now, if you don't know, I think the brand Merrimon donates half of their sales. It was reported in 2017 that they donated almost $700,000 to women of abuse or just women who need it. And we all know when BTS wears anything, especially if it's a ring, because armies will zoom in on that and see what the ring is. And if it is a ring, does that mean the boys are married? Like, what is the deal? So people discovered it was a Merrimon ring. And not only has Suga worn that ring, but he has worn the brand many times, such as a ring and mirror, I believe. This is a big deal that Merrimon came out themselves to thank Suga on their Instagram post. They wrote special thanks to Min Yoongi, an artist who wears special accessories to convey a message at every event, such as a fan sign event or album release showcase. We are able to take a step closer to solving a problem of violence against women and children, including the comfort women issue in the Japanese military today. Among the Merrimon products the artists have worn in the past, we introduced Gentleman, which means a step towards peace. The Gentian contains a story of the survival of human rights activist An Jeong-soon, and the product used, the pocket mirror Gentian, is not currently for sale. Wow, this is just stunning and beautiful. I'm so glad he represents such an amazing brand and is supporting such an amazing cause. Of course, the brand is going to increase in sales after this, and I can only think of the amount of women that will be helped from this. Similarly to how Black Lives Matter cause was helped with a $1 million donation, I have no doubt with Suga's endorsement, or at least him loving the items enough to wear it, he would have contributed more than $1,000 for this cause. The fact that we need companies to help this cause is sad to begin with, but we together as dumplings, armies, any other fandom, whatever you call yourself, can come together and help this cause. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your thoughts are. Leave it down in the comment section down below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'm featuring this comment right here. Thank you so much for leaving comments. And as always, I do have a Patreon if you want to go over there and check that out. I have a lot of videos over there that I can't really post on here. This is due to copyright or getting taken down, so I do keep it over there on my Patreon. You can get videos over there like music video reactions, performance reactions, ship reactions. We also react to a lot of BTS videos over there as well, and any type of content you can think of, such as their TV shows, fan cafes, everything like that over there. Currently, we do have over 400 videos over there that you can see the moment you sign up. There's also a 10% deal going on as well. So if you're interested in any of that, link is in the top description down below. We have a great time interacting with each other over there, as well as there is a video over there that kind of explains how you can support this channel even more if you would like to do that. It's on the front page and it's free to watch. With that said, there's 2 videos that will appear up on the screen at the end of this video, so click on one of those and I'll see you over there. Bye.